Hey everyone, it's Miss McNeese again. Hey Stitch, you want to hear something pretty cool? No? Well, too bad. I'm going to show it to you anyway. Found this. Anyone else like Harry Potter? I know I really like Harry Potter. Listen to this. See Stitch, I told you it was cool. Don't you think it's cool? Fine then, you don't have to listen to it today. Anyway, friends, regardless of what Stitch says, I think that's pretty cool. And the instruments that we see in that video are part of the Woodwind family. Remember, this is all a month about the instruments of the orchestra. Yesterday we learned about the string family, which includes our violin. And our violin has to use strings to vibrate to make their sound. Now, the family we're talking about today, like I said, is the Woodwind family. I've got a big old poster right here that's got lots of woodwind instruments on it. Mr. Stitch can back up just a little bit so everybody else can see. His ears are trying to still be in the way though, silly goose. Now, woodwinds are going to be different than our brass instruments because you have to use lots of air to make noise with them. As you can see, they all are very long. So, and they all have mouthpieces too. That's the part where you're going to put your mouth on and you blow your air to make the sounds. The air has to travel all the way to the ends of these instruments, and then they come out. There's lots of different buttons that you push that's going to change the sound that your notes make as you go through. Now, I've got a couple of different woodwind instruments we can look at here today. One of them is going to be this guy right here. This one is a flute. This is usually the one that the orchestra is going to use to make lovely kind of like whistle noises. A lot of times it makes me think of birds. Now, it's long and skinny, just like the other pictures that we saw on our poster as well. Lots of buttons. Right here is the part, that's the mouthpiece. This is the lip plate because that is where your lip is going to go. And then you blow, part of your air is going to go into that hole, and part of the air goes across it. Now, my flute is broken, so it doesn't work the best, but we can still kind of get an idea of what it looks like. Now, we know that this family is called woodwinds, but this isn't made out of wood or anything, is it, Stitch? As he liked to point it out to me. Oh, now you want to hold it. You think you could make a noise on it, Stitch? Maybe. No, I don't think you're using enough air. But it's not made out of wood or anything. But you know what? A long time ago, when flutes first came around, they were made out of wood. And over time, as they got more and more popular, they realized that the metal was going to hold up a lot better. So they decided they were going to switch over to that. Like I said, the buttons and stuff on my flute don't work very well, but you can still get an idea of how it sounds. It's a cool thing. You can change the way your notes sound with just using your finger because it controls how much air is coming out of our flute. So that's a really popular woodwind instrument. And I've got one more for us to look at here too. This is a clarinet. This is what Miss McNeese played when she was in school learning about band and music and everything. Why, yes, Stitch, I was a band geek. But it doesn't matter because I think I'm pretty cool now. Don't be mean. Anyway, we know that we get the wind part of woodwinds from having to use lots of air. Now, the wood part is going to come from this little guy right here. This is called a reed, which is made out of wood. Now, in our string family, we know that the strings had to vibrate to give us our sounds. In woodwind instruments, the wood is going to vibrate or dance, move around. You've got to take your reed. It goes on to the mouthpiece. You always got to get it wet. Makes it work a little bit better. And when I blow into my mouthpiece, it's going to make that wood dance or vibrate. And it's going to send that sound all through the rest of the clarinet. I can get the reed on the right way. It sounds something like this. A little bit different than how it normally goes. But The wind travels all the way through the end. As I push on the different buttons, it changes the sound that comes out of it as well. So friends, for our woodwind instruments, they are going to sit not right up front and not all the way in the back, but more towards the middle of our orchestra. So let's take out our instrument card we've been working on. So our first day we learned about the conductor. He stands up there to lead everyone through. Second day we learned about our string section. They sit right up here close to our conductor. And the woodwinds, they're going to sit kind of right here in the middle area. They're not the loudest instruments of the orchestra. And there's not quite as many of the woodwind instruments as there are some of the other ones. So you want to be able to hear them. So they're going to sit kind of towards the middle. You got your flutes and your clarinets that usually sit together. And your oboes as well. Now, an oboe is also going to use a reed, and a saxophone will. But an oboe reed and a bassoon reed, that's another one of our woodwind instruments, they're fancy because it's not just one reed, they're two reeds. So we call those a double reed. And they have to kind of vibrate off of each other. Now, a saxophone and a clarinet have similar looking reeds, but a saxophone one is going to be just a little bit bigger. So we're going to sit all of these guys right here. This is going to be our woodwind section. So if you're adding on to your card with me, just put you a line kind of right there. And I've just got some of the instruments listed. We've got our woodwinds up top, and then flute, clarinet, oboe. Now saxophones aren't going to be in the orchestra normally. There have been a couple of pieces that are a little bit fancier that are written for them. Those right there. And let's look one more time at some of these guys. Remember, the flute, that was the first one we looked at. Our piccolo is going to be like a little bitty baby version of a flute. So remember yesterday when I told you the bigger the instrument was, the lower the sound it makes, and then the smaller the instrument's going to have high sound. So since the piccolo is a little bitty baby, it's going to make a really, really high whistle-like sound. Then there's our clarinet. Then we have a bass clarinet. It's even bigger than a normal clarinet, and it's got a big old bell, so it's going to make a really low sound. There's our oboe, the first of the double reeds. An English horn is kind of like you can think of it kind of like the grandpa. It's going to be bigger and make a little bit lower noise than an oboe. Then you've got the really big guy, the bassoon. He's also a double reed, so he's going to be the lowest of all of our woodwinds. And then our saxophone is also a woodwind, but like I said, not necessarily a member of the orchestra. Alright guys, we've got two families that we've learned about now. Our string family and our woodwind family. I hope you guys have a great day. Come back and we'll learn about the third family tomorrow. Bye!